Welcome to Day Zero Update for August 11th, 2024. I'm your host, Chris Elogi.
I'm Brandon Parkins.
And I'm Daniel Victoria.
And yeah, we have a pretty good week this week of news. Only one real negative story, though it is a sad one. But the rest are all pretty good stuff for the most part. Things you can check out now, a couple things coming out over the next few weeks. Even a thing that one certain company was only selling in very limited quantities, they're finally said, like, hey, we want to make more money. That'd be good. And then, we got stuff like that. So before we get to that, we'll talk about what we've been playing, and I will kick it off here. I've been playing a bunch of indies that have come out this week. Let's see, the one I played the most is Cat Quest 3. Which is the third in this action RPG series that I would say is one of those that you do not necessarily have to play the others to jump into this game. In fact, they kind of explain what's going on throughout, how it is related to the previous two games, which were very much like you're a person of a special bloodline that can, save the world, save the day, whatever.
Yeah.
This one's similar, but set in a later time frame in the Age of Pirates versus like the Age of Dragons. So yeah, you get a bunch of pirate puns as well as cat puns and all that mixed into there. I would say the action is a bit better in this one. It feels more fleshed out, not necessarily to the extent of like a God of War, Devil May Cry, or anything like that. But you do have different options versus previous games where you just kind of had all melee weapons, stuff like that, that would make it a pretty kind of one-note game that we're kind of focused on grinding, a lot of grinding with tons of side quests and all that kind of stuff. This one still has some of that grind, but not really in the way that it kind of feels like you're just getting a long list of like side quests and such to do. And they've done a couple things to make that better. So there's more weapon types. There's you got melee weapons. You got shields. There's a neat little mechanic there. Use them to block shots as well as kind of just run into enemies, bash them with your shields, that kind of stuff. You have a gun that's sort of your alternate weapon that you swap to. That's more of a ranged option. That is good for filling up your mana bars to cast spells. And then, you also have your magic that's, you have your, similar to the other two games, they're all mapped to the shoulder buttons. So early on, it's a little annoying that you can't set them to specific buttons until you have your first 4 unlocked. So you kind of end up having them set in certain places first before you can really customize any of that stuff. And then from there you have, basic equipment options, as well as another new thing is like this perk system. It's a set of things that you can equip. They'll give you special gameplay perks. Like I have some that shoots out a cannonball when I use a spell, so you can get some extra damage out of them. Some that I can do an attack out of a dodge roll kind of thing that it's pretty good, or I can do damage during a dodge roll. So I can just dodge through enemies to do some extra damage that way. Stuff like that. As well as there's some they're just for specific buffs, but you get more of those you can equip as you play more of it and level up, which is pretty cool. And your ship, you get a pirate ship to ride around in, and that has combat to its own, which is just pretty basic, shooting with the square button. Then you have meters to fill up to shoot special weapons, which are a little more power shot type stuff. It's makes it easy to do kind of a bigger damage to enemies. So you can also use that ship to attack enemies on land, at least the ones that are within range. But You can also attack ships from land if you have the range for those shots. So yeah, there's some decent amount of options for that stuff. You can go out swimming into the water, though you have like floaties on, so you can't do any attacks with that, nor get around all that fast as the ship can go. So, but you unlock buffs for the ship as well too, for sort of the some of your stat stuff, make it faster or give you the opportunity to do damage when you boost into other ships, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like the other the other games, you kind of have enemies roving around, and you can run into some that are much higher level than you, so you kind of have to be careful where you're going. I've seen a few areas that have enemies up in the level 60 range, where I'm run into those like very early on when I was in single digits, or even when I'm into my 30s now, and they're still very tough to take on. Usually, I take a shot or two, and I'm like, oh, I got to leave because I've taken too much damage. But yeah, it's a very cool game. Very story wise, it's kind of similar to the originals of you having this special mark on your head that indicates that you are part of some special bloodline, and along the way you're kind of looking for this North Star treasure that you're getting hints that like maybe this isn't the thing we should do, but we need to press on to figure out what the consequences of this might be. And right now I'm working my way through a dungeon to get the third piece. I need to potentially go get the treasure. I don't know, but I've been working my way through this. I'm level 34, something like that. So I'm putting a good bit of time, even though I've maybe played like 5 or 6 hours into it. So it does not waste your time too much. And yeah, unlike the other two games, these side quests are pretty well done. They don't have just a ton of like, just go here and kill this thing and come back. There's been some more effort put into that. So I had one that now to find these books, I can bring this book back to this guy who wrote these books that kind of went the wrong way with his love interest, and you kind of play through the story of those by essentially reading what's the presentation of the story, and then it gives you choices for where to take it, kind of a choose your own adventure kind of thing. Then along the way, it may ask you to fight enemies or that kind of stuff. But once you get to the end, it gives you a chest, and it's like, all right, there's 3 books. I managed to get all 3. They're in different parts of the map, but you find like pages of a book strewn about in front of the dungeons to give you a hint of where to go for that stuff. And yeah, managed to complete that, and that involves you kind of facing the ghost of this writer and kind of sending them to the other world in peace, I guess. There's been others of this guy that wants to catalog these creatures, and so you hide them from other parts of the island to bring them over, which ends up in a real weird boss fight. A bunch of stuff like that where there's some more interesting writing to them versus just very basic action RPGs. Go here and do a thing, and then come back for your reward, kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty well done, and they also have kind of a little bit of Breath of the Wild style like puzzles for extra like currency and XP type stuff of just things in the environment. They're not as in depth as some of those puzzles could be. It's just like, oh, here's a thing. You notice some pattern, and you're like, oh, I can figure out what the missing part of this is, kind of thing. But I've also had one where there's these different stones that you could hit with numbers next to them, and trying to figure out the patterns. Like you can maybe luck into it, but the solution was go talk to this guy nearby, and he just showed you a piece of paper with numbers in a certain order, and you're like, oh, I was kind of hoping that would be a little more elaborate than just here's the number, here's the order. But yeah, there's still some neat stuff there. But yeah, it's a very cool game. Definitely worth checking out. If you haven't played the others, you could certainly check those out because they're often on sale for a couple bucks. So nothing too complicated, nothing too expensive there. So yeah, Cat Quest 3 is pretty cool. Definitely recommend that.
Mm.
Let's see. I also played SteamWorld Heist 2, the sequel to the very good like XCOM style SteamWorld game.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of like a 3D strategy RPG, it's a 2D side-scrolling one where you kind of go into these uh, dungeon-ish areas to take on enemies, and you're kind of positioning yourself to give your characters good shots at these enemies. Um, Usually, depending on the job they have, there's 6 jobs. Right now, I'm still building up my crew, about 2 or 3 hours in, and liking it a lot so far. The combat's pretty similar to the original, though they've added a few things to it. As you level up your characters, you get more abilities and bonuses, such. Hats are still the big thing. So if you can knock off hats off of enemies' heads, that's a thing that you can collect and use on your characters in future missions. Um, that stuff's pretty cool. I don't think it has any gameplay bonus. It's just a fun little cosmetic thing. But where I'm at, I'm kind of still trying to find this mechanic that has gone missing, along with some other Steam bots that have been taken by the Royal Navy, who are all diesel bots, and they look down on Steam bots. So we all assume that they've been kidnapping people, and yeah, that's where I'm looking to go after them and take them out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, music is done by a band I got to become a fan of because of the first game, Steam Powered Giraffe. They put out a new album's worth of music that is in this game.
Oh yeah, I've known about Steam Power Giraffe. I've known about them for years.
Yeah,
They're amazing. Yeah,
yeah, and feature a trans member of the band.
yeah,
Went trans in the maybe like the middle of their career, essentially as a band.
yeah,
So there's concert videos of them before they transitioned, and
yeah.
obviously, it's the first game came out, they have transitioned. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, put out a new album. I ended up just pre-ordering the album, outright from their website. So they got most of the money that you can get it on Steam if you want
Mm-hmm.
to make that a little easier to play through there. But it works either way. But yeah, that game's
If you ever get a chance, you have to see them live
yeah.
because the music is great, but it ain't nothing like seeing them live. Live is an
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, they don't travel too much. They're mostly centered around San Diego.
Yeah,
So that's where a lot of their more recent stuff has been. But they do sell some of their concert videos on their
oh yeah,
website, so people can check them out that way. But yeah, that game's very good. That's worth checking out if you like your strategy RPGs. And I also got Volgar the Viking 2. That's the third indie game that came out this week. That is a sequel that uses Roman numerals for its sequel number, not numerical sequels, the numerical numbers. So, but Volgar the Viking 2, much like the original game, is very hard. It is a classic style of action game that very much kind of, I guess, informs itself from some of the Souls stuff in terms of you learn how to take down different enemies just through trial and error. Though the weird thing they did is they added a forced easy mode on this. So if you continue 6 times, you're put into this easy mode that turns your main character Volgar into like a zombie. You have like green skin kind of thing, and then you're able to take more damage from enemies, which I ended up beating the first boss, not realizing that this was even a thing. I was like, oh, I got better. That's great. And I'm like, oh, I didn't get better. The game made it much a good bit easier with that. So that was annoying. It's not a huge deal, but um, they are supposed to be potentially putting in an option for that, and that is interesting. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they've made it to look a bit better. The level design feels a lot more improved here. There's a lot of a good little tricks that I would say the original game kind of felt like it was a bit more based on you just um, going on level playing fields, level design that did not really do too much other than climbing up ropes than um, using your spears to climb up walls, that kind of stuff. They have now kind of ropes, swinging ropes you can swing on, that kind of stuff. That uh, looks weird because it's just the same animation as climbing up ropes, but the rope is moving while your character is just standing still on it, so it looks a little weird, but lets you get more distance on your jumps, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, if you like your tough games, that's one to check out. And then the last of the new games I've been playing is Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. This is a roguelite deck building game, similar to the vein of Balatro, but instead of poker, it's focused on blackjack. I got a code for this, and we'll be putting out a review later this week. So once I get some more time into it, but yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot. They've from the demo I played, they have improved the visuals a good bit, and I went and did some extra art passes over parts of the game. And yeah, like the main difference between it and Balatro is that the jokers, the weird things that kind of give you different perks and whatnot, were kind of a separate thing from your deck. Whereas here they are a major part of it, so that you can have, there are a couple of jokers that get mixed in. One that is explicitly designed like the Balatro Joker, but also a bunch of weird cards. Like you can get some Pokemon style cards, Yu-Gi-Oh style cards. There's library cards. There's all sorts of different cards, business cards, all sorts of stuff that have various bonuses and things that it's allows you to do, like trading cards with the other person you're facing off against, or allowing you to manipulate the values of cards both in your hand and on the other person's hand, and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of allows it to be kind of more of a wild card kind of change to the gameplay, which is pretty cool. Then looking at what is it? Yeah, the other thing is that instead of just essentially getting increasingly high like gold numbers to try to meet with each round, this time you are facing off against people. You're going through like different parts of this casino or whatever it is. It's just some building you're going into that people are playing blackjack against each other. You work your way through the lounge, and you can kind of go up through like the top parts of the building and maybe face the execs and whatnot. Or you can go down to the basement and through like a dungeon, the thing with all the weird people that are down there. You get different kinds of people with different decks. That's one of the people you face early on. If you go up, is the person is just a very aggressive gambler that just constantly busts. So you're just trying to let them bust and then do a kind of close to 21 as you can get, that kind of stuff. There's like a drunk who's number for standing is at 13 instead of most of them are at like 17. So he will just stand at the low numbers. He was like, oh, I can get extra damage on them from this thing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're trying to get as close to 21 or hit 21 with the blackjack. If you have the higher number than the opponent, you do damage to them. If they have the higher number, they do damage to you. If you tie, then you just cancel out and move on to the next hand. And yeah, it's a very good game. Very tough. They throw 4 different basic decks at you. The 4 suits you start with: hearts, spades, diamonds, and I forget what the last one is. But yeah, they all have different buffs to them. Hearts will replenish your health. One of them will replenish your shields. One of them will do extra damage if you hit blackjack. And the other one, I forget what the other one does. But yeah, then they have some special decks beyond that once you win one game. But I have not gotten to that just yet. I've gotten fairly far into, I think, the last area, but got handily served at a certain point. So it is a pretty good challenge for that. Even though they tell you like the hearts are the easiest of them all, that's still very challenging. It's just easier because you're more likely to get health back from hitting blackjack, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's been a pretty cool game. Definitely gonna be writing up a review here in the next few days. So, but if you enjoy Balatro and want something a bit different, if you really like blackjack as a card game, that's one to check out. I don't think they have a demo anymore, but yeah, it's $15 normally. So that's one you can check out. And then the last one, I'm playing some more College Football 25. They put out their big updates. Not before I ran into the bug where you complete a practice mini game and then you just get a full amount of skill points to level up your player, which 127 skill points. So mine went from like 78 to 97 in one game. And the following week, I had that happen exactly again, and so my quarterback is fully maxed out, sophomore. So that's weird. They fixed that in the big update the next day. And along with some other stuff, I wouldn't say it fixes most any of my issues, which center around the simulation logic, especially when play calling during games in Road to Glory. It seems like that is maybe an issue that's been in bad games for a long time, so that doesn't really cut any of the major issues I have with the game itself. But I'll keep playing it and see if that makes any sort of substantive, change to my view of it. But otherwise, they've made a lot of improvements on other things that weren't as big of a factor for me. But yeah, that's still a pretty good game. So, but yeah, that's been all I've been playing. So, yeah, Brandon, what have you been doing?
Well, as for me, I have been playing Guilty Gear Strive, but that's sort of been slow going because I'm going between both the arcade and also the story, because ever since they sort of rebooted the franchise, they have been doing this thing where you get the arcade where you can play more or less the single player campaign, for lack of a better term, and then there's the other one, which is the story, which basically acts like an animated visual novel. And they're both very fun and compelling, but the visual novel is definitely a commitment and a little slow going. So, but really the big thing is that I finally got and have been playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And I talked about last night, I talked about the game that one of the things I really do love about the Yakuza series is that for all of its goofiness, it's very, very poignant in its social commentary when it wants to be. The Yakuza games are famous for the fact that they basically deconstruct the whole idealized world of what a Yakuza life is supposed to be. Which is why, Kiryu Kazuma, the most famous character in the series, a whole bunch of his story arc is him trying to get out of the Yakuza and go on the straight and narrow. And the last couple of games that revolve around Ichiban Kazuka is that it's essentially about a guy who grew up in that lifestyle but is essentially cast out by it, ends up taking the fall for someone and losing a good 14 years of his life in prison, and then coming back out and having to readjust to life in the civilian population, on top of the fact that he's broke and basically homeless and having to sort of climb back up into something of a stable life. The thing with Infinite Wealth is that it largely takes place in and around Hawaii, specifically in Honolulu. And pretty much right off the bat, once you set foot in Honolulu, the game tells you pretty much like okay, the game is clearly made from like the viewpoint of a Japanese tourist, because, they're Japanese developers, and most Japanese people's relation to Hawaii is as tourists themselves. But the game also makes a lot of points about, the very real issues that Hawaii suffers from. The fact that it has this enormous it has the largest homeless population in the United States because of, so many people just sort of dumping their homeless there to get them off the mainland. They talk about, the insane cost of living because they basically built Disneyland on top of a Native American reservation. That's literally what Hawaii is. It's a theme park that someone built on sacred land. And of course, how natives have to sort of, I don't want to say prostitute their culture, but kind of have to prostitute their culture in order to make a living. And but on top of that, it also talks about all the good stuff about Hawaii, its history, how it's incredibly diverse, how its culture is this melting pot of all these other cultures coming together. And also, it's Hawaii, it's on the beach, it's gorgeous, but yeah, the game's great. I'm loving it. I'm loving, I was amazed at how easy it was to pick it back up when I started playing it, because they've not really changed much. It's pretty much the same game. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. So, Danro, what about you?
I'm just curious, Brandon, if you've played every Yakuza game prior, or is this something that you've
I've
jumped
played
into?
a bunch of them.
Okay.
I played Yakuza 0. I've played Yakuza, the one before that, and then the one after that. And I've also played, Like a Dragon, and I'm also playing this one. So I've played a bunch of them.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, like, I played this at release, and of course, I already talked at length about it.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask you is, like, how much you're enjoying it, knowing that this is, like, the first game in the series that takes place sort of in the modern day. And, one thing that, like, you talked about the accurate depiction of Hawaii. One of my favorite things was the fact that, like, this game pretty much acknowledged COVID. Like, you walk by a homeless encampment in Japan, and I was like, yeah, like, they stopped this because of the pandemic. And I was like, oh, good job, guys.
Yeah, they do. And, like, obviously it's not an accurate one-to-one representation of Hawaii, but it's pretty close. Yeah. Like obviously in real life, Honolulu doesn't just have this enormous street gang controlling the place at night and like having a headquarters that's like walled off from the rest of the country, like it's Star Trek and we're in the middle of a sanctuary district or something. But yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, it's a tourist attraction. You don't have to worry about that many gangsters fighting you. They do exist, but it's not going to be to that extent. But yeah, happy you've started that and glad you're enjoying it so far. Anyway, I haven't been playing a whole lot. The one game is a game that hasn't come out yet. I think it comes out on the 15th, but I'm allowed to talk about it, assuming that today is Monday or later. I've been playing Just Crow Things. Just Crow Things is an indie game. It's going to be available on Steam, Switch, and the PC. Or sorry, Steam and Switch and Xbox. And I've been playing the Xbox version. And this is a game that I actually got my hands on during Summer Game Fest. And they built a specific build for that event because like where I was pretty much like in LA and like just enjoying things from there. But anyway, now that I've gotten my hands on the full game, I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it. I actually already finished it, so it's definitely pretty short. But yeah, like this game pretty much takes a lot out of games like Untitled Goose Game or Little Kitty Big City, and basically like you use a crow, and the whole thing is about like doing sort of open world checklists in all of the levels that you're in. The tutorial stage pretty much shows you how to fly. You can walk around, but it's faster to fly. You can glide around for more speed. And the main components you have are flying, picking things up, and pooping. And when you're pooping, you're just causing all sorts of havoc, just taking a crap on humans. They call them humans in this game. And you're doing all sorts of tasks for other animal friends you come by. Like there are these hamsters who you have to look for in most of the levels because their mom always loses them, and they're pretty much just scattered throughout the level. There's this hedgehog who just enjoys like just being a menace and having you poop on everyone. there's a peacock who wants to be a social media influencer. So all she does is like have you take pictures around various levels. And yeah, it's pretty fun doing all these tasks. A lot of these levels are based on, what you see in gaming. Like for example, like with the Mario games, you normally go through the normal overworld in the first world, and all of a sudden the second world is going to be in ancient Egypt or like the desert. And it's the same kind of thing with just crow things. Like when you get to the desert, you're tasked with taking away the pharaoh's crown to make the to make the cats king, and yeah, all havoc ensues there. And yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. The most unique levels also just make fun of other games. There's this one level where you have to choose sides between dogs and cats, and basically you choose sides by just doing more tasks for one side, and then it eventually comes to a point where you have to steal the cat's crown or the dog's war banner and then give them to the appropriate leader, and then they take over that way. Or you can also decide to take both sides and steal them both and give them to someone else, and just see all sorts of things happen there. But yeah, there's also a level based on Minecraft that makes fun of that. There's one level I haven't played yet called the Wing Waker, so it's pretty obvious what they're stealing from there. And yeah, like it's just pretty much hilarity ensuing for parodying a whole bunch of games, but doing it in just a weird way with being that bird. And when it comes to these indie games where you're just being an animal and just being dumb because of it, I'm all about it. It's really fun. I haven't run into any sort of weird bugs or anything like that. Everything just works. If I had any complaints, it's that I do think the load screen could be a little bit faster, especially playing on a next generation console, like the Xbox Series X. But aside from that, like everything's very playable. It all works, and it's not that long. And I really enjoyed playing it. So my review will be out when I'm talking about this. So yeah, definitely check that one out. My only wish is that it was on PlayStation so I could get the platinum there, but I'm pretty sure that'll happen soon. We'll see. And yeah, that's about it.
All right.
All right, so yeah, let's get to some news here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new month, so Game Pass has to have some new stuff, and they kind of do. Not much for this update, unfortunately, but stuff that is available now. They have Creatures of Ava, that is on PC and Xbox as of the 7th, so I haven't had a chance to check this out. I'll probably check it out this week. Also available is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. So if you have yet to check out that very good trilogy of remade versions of the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy, that's one worth checking out. So yeah, there's that. And then, yeah, coming up here on August 13th, Mafia Definitive Edition for Xbox and PC. It's the remake, somewhat of sorts, of the original Mafia, which tried to be a more one old school kind of GTA set back in the 1930s, but also be a little more realistic. Like speeding is an actual thing you have to worry about around the cops, that kind of stuff. So that one's a decent game. So that's worth checking out, and that seems to be it.
Yeah, pretty much.
They do hint that if you have Game Pass, you can log in with your account in Valorant to unlock all the agents, I guess. I guess that's a thing you have to pay for normally, but I guess with that you can do that. I did see that in the Game Pass, was confused why it was there. I don't think they explain any of this on the console itself. But yeah. There you go. Decent few games. So I'm looking forward to checking out Creatures of Ava. The other ones I have elsewhere, so it goes out there. But yeah, there you go. There's your subscription stuff. And let's see, also available to check out now for free, Gory Cuddly Carnage. This is a game that is coming out here in a couple of weeks. I'm trying to see if there's a date. Yeah, August 29th. So that's, but they have a demo now for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. So you can check it out. It's the demo I played last year of it on Xbox was a pretty fun, I'd say like PS2, GameCube, Xbox era kind of action game of sorts. as you're playing this anthropomorphic cat who has like a weird hoverboard and also sword and all that to fight enemies, that kind of stuff. And as you can tell from the name, it's very gory, though it's not spelled like gory, but that's part of the name there, that you're going to cause a lot of blood to spill and all that. So, yeah, that's a neat little game. So that'll be coming out at the end of the month with everything else. There's a lot of stuff coming out that August 29th and August 30th. So that'll be another game on the pile. And yeah, also speaking of stuff available now, as part of QuakeCon, Doom plus Doom 2 has been announced. It is a new remaster of the original games done as a single package. If you own either of those games on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, you can get it as a free upgrade. Yeah, on Steam, it just replaces the first game's entry on your library with a box art that just says Doom plus Doom 2.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird, but on PlayStation, I just got it as a free upgrade, so it's a separate game. I think works better. But yeah, the big thing, it contains Doom, Doom 2, TNT Evolution, the Plutonia Experiment, Master Levels for Doom 2, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, Legacy of Rust, which is a new episode created with id Software, Night Dive Studios, and Machine Games, and also a new pack of deathmatch maps featuring 25 new maps. So, say altogether, the stuff that's installed on the game from launch totals 187 mission maps, 43 deathmatch maps. And along with that, they've added online cross-platform deathmatch and cooperative play for up to 16 players, so you can play Doom or Doom 2 with 15 other players in the campaign, which seems like a ridiculous chaos. That could be pretty fun. Yeah, there's community-published mod support on PC with an in-game mod browser. You can choose between the original MIDI Doom and Doom 2 soundtracks or the modern IDKFA versions by Andrew Hulshult, including some brand new recordings for Doom 2. There's better performance support for up to 4K and 120 FPS on PS5, Xbox Series X, and S, and PC. It's on Night Dive and Night Dive Studios X engine, KEX engine. It also has Boom source compatibility that makes it possible for hundreds of community-created mods from the past 25 years to be published in-game. People have been uploading that stuff, and I'm talking about, like, Simpsons Doom. What else did I see? There's DBZ Doom, Batman Doom, bunch of stuff like total version stuff. I just replaced a lot of the assets with either assets ripped from various other properties or original ones that are made in those properties. It's for weird, dumb things, but pretty cool to have. I believe those are all available on all the platforms. There's a bunch more accessibility options with like text-to-speech stuff and modern font to improve legibility over the pixelated font that's in the game. Yeah, more new languages, all that kind of stuff, along with all the improvements that came in the most recent patches for these updates for these on the PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox, and all that. So that's a lot of good things you can do there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of good community mod campaign stuff you can check out as well. They highlight Wrecker, Revolution, Syringe, Double Impact, Rival, and more. So some extra campaign content if you want to check that stuff out. So yeah, that's a really cool package they put out. So weird to have new versions of the Doom remasters we got not that long ago, 4 or 5 years ago that was. But yeah, those games are still good, so definitely worth checking out for that. But yeah, speaking of things that are coming out here by the end of the month, Vampire Survivors finally got a date. It is August 29th. for PlayStation and PlayStation 5 and PS4. DLC will also be available day and date with that release, so that's cool. That'll be the Legacy of the Moonspell, Tides of the Foscari, Emergency Meeting, and Operation Guns. DLCs will be available as well. I assume they'll have a bundle to get that for a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I'm excited for this. I love that game a lot, and yeah, it's a ridiculously dumb game that is a lot of fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's one you can check out here finally on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, we'll get to some more dates. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, the remaster. They decided that they were 100% done with it, so they're moving it up.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks, I think, from September 25th or September 20. No, I think it was September 25th. Now it is September 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So about 2 weeks early. The game will be out for $44.99.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty decent price. They could easily have tried to charge $60 for that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going a little bit cheaper there, and yeah, that'll be on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. So we'll be able to finally check out that game for the first time in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what was the original date again?
It was the 25th.
Yeah, so they moved it up by a good like 13 days. Almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at the release schedule to see if that was actually a better date.
Yeah, from what I can see, that was going to be the same time as Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. So I guess they were worried about that.
Yeah, they went from Zelda to Star Wars. So I don't know.
The 12th is around where Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is. Star Wars is August 30th, so probably better time frame, and a bunch of other kind of mid-tier games, indie games and such. So probably better for them on that front, but not really a huge change or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a game that's going to bring in huge numbers, but cool for the people that are excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I was looking at the date for Vampire Survivors. That was in Star Wars, but no big deal there. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what it will be coming out, there is actually technically a Star Wars game coming out around the same time. It is Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
Because they announced that they were porting it to the PS4 and Xbox One, and that finally got a date of September 17th. That'll be $50 instead of $60, $70 that it is on PC and console. So that's cool. But that'll be interesting to see how that game runs, because that's not a game that ran super well on a PS5 and Xbox Series X that launched.
Yeah, I had the same concern. Yeah, I didn't play it, but I know there was a lot of issues with the PS5 version at launch, and I don't know if they were all patched yet, but here's hoping it works.
Yeah. So that'll be like one of the more morbidly curious releases to see sort of how it turns out. Would have been nice if it was cross-buy if you had the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions. You got the PS4 and Xbox One versions for free, but that's probably not what they would want. But yeah, it's a game that's one of those rare ones that targeted the new consoles and has decided to try to get a release out for the old ones to get that audience that is still hanging around on those old consoles. Maybe it'll work out for them. I don't know, maybe it won't, but at least interesting. So yeah, here you go for that. That is a few weeks away.
Yep.
But yeah, a little bit further out than that, Square Enix finally said, hey, we want to sell more than like 100 copies of this Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster Collection at a time on their storefront. So they said we're going to do a wide retail release for the PS4 and Switch versions on October 8th in the West. So they will be launching at various retailers as well as Square Enix on October 8th for $74.99, still keeping that price. So it'll be probably one of the most expensive retail releases around for the time being that isn't like a special edition with a bunch of other crap with it. They are including a sticker sheet, so that makes up for that increased price. But there you go.
Yeah, it's a choice that makes sense. I'm wondering why they took so long to do this. I actually have 2 copies for the Switch that I bought at Play Asia for $70, so I got it cheaper, but I don't get that cool sticker pack. But yeah, it's to me it's a better deal than the initial special edition that I believe was for $200. It makes a lot more sense to pay $12.50 a game than that. But yeah, this is one that they definitely had to do, and like the Switch ones are really good. So I see no reason why the PS4 one wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are pretty good versions of those games with a bunch of extra accessibility options, so you can get them moving a little bit quicker if you want. Turn off random encounters. Have them just handle random battles for you if you want. That kind of stuff kind of lets you get through the more boring parts of those games a little more quickly. So yeah, worth checking out if you like to check out those old games or if you have fondness for them. But yeah, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, the developer of Crosscode, Radical Fish Games, has announced their next title. It is an action RPG called Alabaster Dawn. Coming to consoles and PC, but I don't think they've done any sort of specific announcements for that stuff yet. Yeah, they're featuring a combat system inspired by Devil May Cry, which is an interesting idea. I guess Devil May Cry and Kingdom Hearts in Crosscode, which is a weird cross section of games, of action games, I guess. But yeah, they are planning to release a demo sometime in early 2025, and early access launch in late 2025. So probably Steam at first, and consoles later when it's probably closer to 1.0 launch. So that'll be pretty interesting. There's some screenshots here, which at least looks pretty nice. But yeah, that's a cool indie game to look forward to.
Yeah, I'll definitely have my eye on this one. I loved Crosscode, but it's also really hard. So I'm hoping that this game's going to be a little bit easier there because I never finished Crosscode because of its difficulty. But yeah, like I really don't see them having a problem trying to come up with a system like that marries the 3 games they showed. I'm not even a Kingdom Hearts fan, but I do believe that having a little bit of a hack and slash in there would go a long way because that's what I was really missing with Crosscode. And Devil May Cry was all about switching back and forth between the different kinds of things. So it sounds like an interesting strategy.
Yeah. I guess their Steam page mentions a planned 30 to 60 hours of playtime. A big variance there. But yeah, they're looking to put in plenty of content in this game, so that's cool. And yeah, that's neat. Let's see. Next up here, Balatro. Developer has announced that that they have reached 2 million copies sold. They're planning a free major gameplay updates next year. With what they say will bring new ideas and strategies to the game. There was also a fun story to this where the creator of the game basically said that he kind of had an irrational fear that the game would be licensed out for casino games when he dies. So he, when he created his will recently, specifically put that in his will that it could never be licensed out for anything like that. So I never considered that you could use a deck building poker game to make an actual poker game that's full of this kind of nonsense. But that seems like something that would have been wild to see. But yeah, he doesn't want to see his game turned into that kind of stuff. That's definitely a thing he's allowed to do. So yeah, good on him for protecting his property like that, even after his death. So there you go. So yeah, there you go. We finally got an idea of what WB wants to do with their game stuff, because they're kind of exploring potential sales of games or whatever, though that the appeal of that stuff is maybe not as great when there's no IP attached to them. But so they have said that they are looking to license their game properties to external publishers and developers. It's going to be a way of getting more games out there because they're they're not really putting out that much these days. Might be lucky to get 1 or 2 games out a year. Not going to bring in much money for David Zaslav because he's trying to drive the company into a crater. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Get more Batman games or find somebody to do Superman or any of the other stuff that's out there. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, like, we can go on and on about how WB is not fit to have a games division. Just, looking at what's happening to the company now, not to mention the fact that they've led a lot of, franchises, namely the Batman Arkham games, off astray, and it's unfortunate. So, this might be the better idea. I just hope that the developers that actually get the licenses are ones that can actually do their projects, some good. There definitely some talent there. I mean, looking at what they did with the Harry Potter game, that was a solid game. But aside from that, I don't really know what to expect here. It is interesting, but I just hope that they're able to get them to good people.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something potentially interesting to happen in the future. Though the way that games get made now, you're not going to see anything out of this kind of potential change in strategy until damn near the end of the decade. So that's going to be a longer term strategy. That they'll have to make sure the company survives that long to reap the benefits of it. So there you go. They're going to hope to be like where Star Wars is at the moment. So yeah. But we'll end things here with a rather sad story. Ready at Dawn has been shut down by Meta, as they were the makers of the Lone Echo series on Meta. That I don't think they've had another game in the last couple years after the sequel. They kind of, they're encouraging former Ready at Dawn staff to apply for roles elsewhere within Oculus Studios, but hoping to retain as many employees as possible. So there's at least a little bit of a bright side there, but not keeping that studio together after they made some games that I've heard are very good. For them, that they're just like, we don't want to fund this studio to keep making stuff. We want them potentially to go to other studios to make different things. It's a little bit rough. But yeah, they're a studio that I liked a lot back when they kind of getting started, as they got their name, amongst the big PSP devs by making, Daxter, the God of War PSP games, the God of War Origins collection, that kind of stuff. That was all very good. Then the Order hits, and that kind of just floundered and didn't really do very well. Especially because I believe it was like their first game on a major console, kind of working on that kind of high high fidelity kind of game in a long time that they kind of weren't ready for. Maybe if they got well enough to kind of deserve a second game, they might have survived and become a PlayStation studio, but unfortunately that didn't really work out. They started working on other stuff and worked on VR when that started becoming a thing, and did pretty well with that and became part of Meta Oculus Studios. So yeah, there you go. Some sad news.
Yeah, this is obviously some sad news. But unlike a lot of the other sad news we've had, over the last year and a half, I don't think this is a result of Meta being assholes, even though that's definitely happened in the past. I think you can just go ahead and chalk this up to bad luck. As Chris mentioned, Ready at Dawn is a very talented studio. I definitely loved them during the PSP days. Almost everything here we mentioned. God of War, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, the God of War Origins games. I loved all those. I never played Daxter, but that's available now to try out. The Order 1886, they kind of faltered there, but a lot of people who have played the game and finished it loved it. And I haven't tried that yet, but I'll definitely get on there sometime soon. And Lone Echo was also a pretty good game for those into the VR realm. But the problem is, nobody really is into the VR realm, and that's why this happened. And yeah, like it's unfortunate, but I also got to give Ready at Dawn a lot of credit for doing what they have been able to do with the technology that's available. That shows how talented these people are at the studio, and I hope that all their people are able to land on their feet. Anyway, like I don't mean to defend Meta, but like this situation makes sense. The game has to make money, and nothing they did for the quest and stuff just happened to work out. So just bad there, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, a studio that did a lot of good work. Not around anymore. Hopefully, the people find jobs within Oculus if they want to stay there or elsewhere. But they're obviously elsewhere. They will have thousands of people to compete with. So that'll be a tough road for those that decide to try to leave the Meta family, I guess, companies. So yeah, that'll be their big challenge. But yeah, that is gonna do it this week. Bunch of stuff going on, and yeah, what else? I'm trying to see what else we might have for releases this week. I guess Madden's technically out this week for people to get the deluxe edition. So that's the thing people can check out. Black Myth Wukong's out next week.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And that's it's a game in a weird place because the toxic culture in that company came out, and that's like bit of a buzzkill there for that game. And then let's see what else. Dustborn is out on the 20th, and then what else? Concord will be out on the 23rd. So some stuff out here in the next 2 weeks.
As I mentioned, Just Crow Things out on the 15th for the PC, Xbox, and Switch.
Yeah. So yeah, some stuff to look forward to. But yeah, thank you to Brandon and Danner for joining this week. We'll be back next week with a new slate of news and things to talk about. Seems like there was some stuff that potentially broke during the show. We'll just talk about that next week because there's a little more time to see how that goes. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoy the show, let friends and family know they should check it out, and select strangers that are into cool things, I guess. Especially trying to stay cool in this shitty part of the summer.
Dear God in heaven, it's like it's a chore, is what it is.
Yeah. You guys get much rain from Debbie?
Not enough.
I'm in California, so that's not a thing. But
I know that, but Brandon's the one was in the path of that thing.
No, it actually went under us.
Okay.
But yeah, so we got some rain from it, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was there, and it was gone like an angel's kiss.
Yeah, I know somebody was in South Carolina, and they're like, well, it's going to be rough for a couple days.
Yeah.
Saw a chart that was like, here's how much snow they would have gotten if this was snow. Instead, it was like 150 inches.
Yeah.
Down like Charleston. It's like, yeah, that's a shitload of rain. But yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a good week ahead. We'll see you all next time. Have a good one.